Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. The Democrats have lost their marbles. They really have. You know, I'm looking at this story, Abrego Garcia. This is the, quote, Maryland dad, the father of three, who was deported to El Salvador and is in that El Salvadorian mega prison thanks to President Trump. He's not a Maryland man, okay? He's an MS-13 gang member, and I have the proof. Yes, I've obtained the court documents from 2019, which the mainstream media refuses to show you. And what's in these court documents is absolutely eye-popping when it talks about the evidence that he is an MS-13 gang member. He was hanging out with not just gang members, but the leaders of the MS-13 gang. So, eyewitness testimony that says he was an MS-13 gang member, and yet you have members of the mainstream media insisting there is no evidence that he's a gang member and all these things. And now you have this Senator Chris Van Hollen making his way to El Salvador today. He's on a flight as we speak right now, going to El Salvador to try to bring back a man who, in my opinion, if you have any association at all with MS-13, you're a gang member and you could potentially kill people, which is why we want you out of the country. Now, the bottom line on all of this, forget everything you've heard. It is indisputable that he snuck into the country. He's here illegally. That alone makes him eligible for deportation. Now, I'm going to go through the facts. There are a few little idiosyncrasies with this case that I will iron out for you today. But I want to make sure you watch this because this is going to be the podcast you need to see in order to argue with your liberal friends about why, even if we brought Garcia back to the United States, he would be instantly deported to, at the very least, a different country from El Salvador, and most likely back to El Salvador. There's no chance he's remaining in the United States, much to the Democrats' dismay. With that, folks, I want to tell you about my friends over at Energized Health. Look, I feel like I'm in some of the greatest shape of my life, and I mean it when I tell you, I want you to get with EnergizedHealth.com. I want you to talk to them about taking back your life. This is a full mind, body, soul program. Folks, it was easy. In 15 days, I lost 15 pounds. I've kept it off. This is about a way of life. The workout plan is easy. The nutrition plan is easy. And I mean it. I wouldn't tell you it was easy if it wasn't. It's about intercellular hydration, which is an amazing science about how you get your cells hydrated at an intracellular level. There's a masterclass on the website you can take to look at this. But again, if you want to lose weight, 200 pounds or 20 pounds, Energized Health is the way to go. And it's not about diets. It's not about nutritional supplements. It's not about shots. It's about taking back your life the way God wanted you to do it. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. It worked for me. I love these guys. EnergizedHealth.com/Grant. Pay them a visit. All right, let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, do you believe that this idiot, Senator Van Hollen, is on his way to try to visit with Abrego Garcia, the MS-13 gang member who was living in Maryland, marries an American citizen, has 3 kids, meanwhile has deportation orders against him. Yes, deportation orders. And this Chris Holland, the senator, is on his way to El Salvador to try to bring this guy back. Now, does anybody want another MS-13 gang member in the United States? Now, I've obtained the court documents. So I'm going to read these court documents to you in just a moment. But first, you've got to watch this senator. Here he is at the airport this morning.
I'm here at the airport. I'm about to board my flight for San Salvador. The goal of this mission is to let the Trump administration, to let the government of El Salvador know that we are going to keep fighting to bring Abrego Garcia home until he returns to his family.
Now, let me ask you a question, Senator. America's not his home. You have to go through a legal channel to get here. not sneak in. That doesn't make it your home. His home is El Salvador, and he is home.
I hope to meet with representatives of the government. I hope to have the chance to actually see Kilmar and see what his condition is. But we are going to keep fighting because this is a miscarriage of justice.
What's the miscarriage of justice? He's got a deportation order against him. So there was a clerical error to send him with this group to this mega prison in El Salvador. That has been acknowledged. The clerical error was not whether or not he was allowed to be deported. There is a deportation order in place. Here's where it gets a little wiggly. Because he was a member of the Barrio 18th Street gang, I think that's the name of it, in El Salvador, they said he shouldn't be deported to El Salvador because he could face political backlash from that gang. Here's the thing. The president of El Salvador has cleaned up the streets of El Salvador. That gang is no longer in existence. So he doesn't have any fear of getting backlash from a gang that no longer exists. President Trump has dubbed MS-13 a foreign terrorist organization, which also means that this Abrego Garcia can be deported under that. Now, at the very least, he most certainly could be deported to another country. No one can argue that. Now with the 18th Street gang gone, I would argue he could be deported to El Salvador as well. But he's a citizen of El Salvador. President Trump can't go in and snatch him up. It's a sovereign nation. President Trump can facilitate the return, which he said he would. He'd instantly be taken to another immigration court where the judge would then order his removal again, and he'd be back in El Salvador. But the Democrats don't look at it like this. Neither does this Senator Chris Van Hollen.
The court has ruled 9-0, that he was illegally taken out of the country and put in a prison in El Salvador. And this is about due process. This is about rule of law. What bullies do is they begin by picking on the most vulnerable. But if we get rid of the rule of law and due process in the United States, it's a short road from there to tyranny.
As an illegal alien with no papers, you do not have a right to due process. You can instantly be deported under the direction of the Attorney General or the President of the United States, which is what is happening here. So when you talk about picking on the most vulnerable, what is it that you think MS-13 does? MS-13 picks on the most vulnerable. You know who was killed by an El Salvadorian MS-13 gang member? Rachel Morin. She was left for dead in a sewer drain. Now, this is Patty Morin, Rachel's mother.
I was told that she was beaten so badly that her body was blanketed in bruises, that she was strangled, that she was raped, and that she was stuffed into a drain pipe. The person that they alleged did this was an illegal immigrant from El Salvador that was a gotaway. This is what she looked like before that day. Oops. She's a beautiful woman, but more than that, you can tell from looking at her just the light that comes out of her. She was a happy person. She loved her children.
I think it's important that we go to El Salvador to show his family, his wife, his mother, his brother, his kids, that we're not giving up.
Not giving up. The guy has the potential to be a brutally violent individual, just like the animal, I should say, who killed Rachel Morin. Now, while this Senator Van Hollen is making the rounds, do you think he ever once tweeted about Rachel Morin's family? Did he ever once go visit her family? They're from Maryland, by the way. Did he ever go visit them? Well, this search of his Twitter page, no results from Chris Van Hollen about Rachel Morin. No results. Now that, folks, is a problem. Here's the thing. Even CNN at this point in time admits, at least one of their legal experts, that there's no legal aspect to bring or force President Trump to bring this person home. Now, Van Hollen said that 9-0 the Supreme Court ruled. Well, 9-0 the Supreme Court ruled that President Trump should facilitate the return, not mandate they go in and snatch him up and bring him back. But if El Salvador wants to return him, we could facilitate that return to go in front of a court where then he'd be deported again. In many respects, I looked at the Supreme Court ruling as a victory, and the mainstream media totally twisted it. But here's a woman on CNN, legal analyst. She actually gets it right, if you can believe it.
And President Trump and President Bukele made it clear that Abrego Garcia will not be returned to the United States, despite this U.S. Supreme Court ruling saying that Trump had to facilitate his return. So are they just ignoring a U.S. Supreme Court ruling, or is the fact that the ruling was so mushy, in your words,
yes,
giving him an opening?
It's a technical term I learned in law school, Jake. Mushy. Look, they're working within the ambiguity that the Supreme Court justices gave them. They did not order the administration to return him to the United States. They said that they need to facilitate this return. They could have said, we order him returned, but they didn't do that.
They didn't. If they say we order him returned, then you got to bring him back somehow. You got to work through channels, diplomatic channels to bring him back. They didn't. They said all you have to do is facilitate his return. El Salvador has already said we are not giving him back. This is Pam Bondi on with Jesse Waters.
Jesse, you know, when you're listening to all these liberal reporters, they keep calling him a Maryland man. He's not a Maryland man. He's part of a foreign terrorist organization. He's a member of MS-13 who, as you laid out in your monologue, came to this country and committed just gang acts. He was caught, and he was two judges, an immigration judge and an appellate judge, ruled that he was an MS-13 member, as well as ICE's testimony. Yet his attorneys are saying he's not affiliated with the gang. They're wrong, and he has no right to be there. But for an extra step in paperwork, just like you said, he would go right back to El Salvador, which is his home country, where he belongs. And President Bukele does not want to give him back to the United States, nor do we want him back.
Right.
No, we don't want him back. Anybody with common sense doesn't want him back. But again, the Democrats, what do they find themselves doing? Again, no plans for America, no policies for the future, nothing to keep America safe. Whether you agree or disagree with President Trump's tariffs plan, you can at least say that he has a vision of what he wants tariffs to do. You can agree with that. You can disagree with it. But it is a vision. Democrats have zero vision. Nothing. They're not offering up any solutions other than fighting for MS-13 gang members. So the lunacy here continues. Now, I told you I found the court document that spells out why this guy is an MS-13 gang member. And then we'll go through some of the media's comments about all of this. Before I do that, though, I want to tell you about my friends over at Colonial Metals Group. Folks, I'm telling you, stock market is up and down. You got the prospect that on some things prices could go up. That's inflation in some respects. Gold has always been a good hedge for inflation, but even better than that. Right now, with the uncertainty of everything we're seeing on a global stage, don't you want a physical commodity you can hold on to? What if I told you could take an IRA or a 401k? You could actually hold the physical gold involved in that IRA or 401k, take a portion of it, turn it into a gold IRA, and start protecting your nest egg that way. I believe, in my own opinion, you're going to see gold continue to rise. But how much is the right investment for you? You got to talk to my friends at Colonial Metals Group about that. Here's how you get in touch with them. And even more importantly, they're going to give you a free guide on gold. freegoldguide.com/grant. That is freegoldguide.com/grant. Go there today, get this free gold guide, do your research, and I think you're going to come to the conclusion that I did. When it comes to buying gold, go with someone you trust. And that's what Colonial Metals is all about. I have vetted these people. I trust these people. I want you to talk to them. I want you to do your own homework. But there's a lot of people I can choose out there, a lot of companies that want to advertise with me. I love the people at Colonial Metals Group. Give them a try. freegoldguide.com/grant. All right. I told you that I found the documents. This is the court papers from, what is the date on this? December 19th of 2019. Okay? So what does it say? The respondent, a native and citizen of El Salvador, appeals from an immigration judge's April 24, 2019 decision denying his request for release on bond from the custody of the Department of Homeland Security. So that relates to the 2019 April order denying his request on bond and ordering that he be held. Okay? This says in the order, quote, an alien must demonstrate to the satisfaction of the immigration judge that his or her release would not pose a danger to property or persons. Thus, only if an alien has established that he or she would not pose a danger to persons or property should an immigration judge decide the amount of bond necessary to ensure the alien's presence at proceedings to remove him or her from the United States. The respondent argues that the immigration judge clearly erred in determining that he is a verified member of MS-13 because there is no reliable evidence in the record to support it. Now, remember, this is what his attorneys argued. The judge is just spelling that out. I'm going to give you the evidence that the judge has that he is an MS-13 gang member as we go through this deal. In this regard, the respondent asserts that the Prince George's County Police Department gang field interview sheet is based on hearsay relayed by a confidential source. The respondent also claims that he presented sufficient evidence to refute the allegations that he's affiliated with MS-13, including character references and criminal records showing that he has only been charged with traffic offenses. Therefore, the respondent contends that the immigration judge erroneously erred. Now, already he's got traffic offenses. This is very dangerous. Do not put this down as, oh, he's a good guy except for a couple traffic violations. Illegal aliens, by and large, if they're going to kill innocent Americans that are not involved in gang activity, it's because of traffic infractions, typically drunk driving, but they're not very good drivers. I hate to break the news to everybody. I know it sounds stereotypical, but they don't drive a lot in El Salvador. They come here and they're horrible drivers and they end up killing American citizens. It's the bottom line. The Washington Post will call me racist for saying that, but I'm telling you, illegal aliens from any country south of the border, they're not good drivers, okay? That's from experience on the road in Dallas, Texas. Now, this order goes on to say, okay, and this is where it gets juicy, all right? The Department of Homeland Security opposed the respondent's request for bond. The DHS asserted that the respondent is a verified gang member. The respondent was arrested in the company of other ranking gang members and was confirmed to be a ranking member of the MS-13 gang by a proven and reliable source. The DHS argued that the Form I-213 is admissible as a legally reliable document in immigration court. So the judge goes on to say, after considering the information provided by both parties, the court concluded that no bond was appropriate in this matter. The court first reasoned that the respondent failed to meet his burden of demonstrating that his release from custody would not pose a danger to others, as the evidence shows that he is a verified member of MS-13. Now, I want you to remember that phrase. As the evidence shows that he is a ranking member of MS-13. Remember, he was arrested with, quote, ranking members of MS-13, not just boys hanging out on a street corner, but ranking members of the game. A confidential proven source had told police, including not just federal agents, but local police, that he was a ranking member of MS-13. So when I tell you it's time to bring this guy to justice, it absolutely is, and that justice can be served in an El Salvadorian jail. So now that you've heard that, okay, I want you to listen to this lunatic on News Nation. Now, I thought News Nation was going to go down the road of being an unbiased news agency. They were going to hire conservatives. In fact, I was talking to them after I left Newsmax and then all of a sudden those talks shut down. They don't even respond to my emails after just a couple weeks. I think they shut down any thought of conservatives going to News Nation. That was a couple years ago, and now they are full on, I believe, leftist propaganda.
The reality is this wasn't a Maryland father.
This, by the way, is a spokesperson for the Trump administration, but I specifically want you, the woman on the left of your screen, to listen to how she responds to him.
This was a El Salvadorian man who was illegally in this country, who was affiliated with MS-13.
There is no evidence to that.
Let's set the record straight about who this person is.
There's no evidence that he was a gang member.
With all due respect, if the Department of Justice has come out and said that he has gang affiliations, just like the same man who killed Rachel Morin had gang affiliations. So you would have told me before Rachel Morin's death, you would have defended that man and said he had no gang affiliations, and he went on to kill Rachel Morin. So instead of defending this gentleman, talk about who he actually is, and talk about the risk in keeping illegal criminals in this country. This is exactly what President Trump was elected to do, to return these people back to their home countries, and that's what he did.
We're not defending him. I'm going to reiterate that is unsubstantiated. There is no evidence of him being a gang member. He was married to...
So, folks, listen to me. No evidence of him being a gang member. You've got eyewitness testimony from a confidential informant that says he was a gang member. And then in Prince George's County, police officers in the gang unit arrest him with ranking members of MS-13. That's not evidence? Of course that's evidence. Now, maybe he was just walking to the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know, but it's still evidence, okay? And we don't need to take this to a court because he's here illegally. So he can be deported instantly without having to prove all this craziness of whether or not he is or is an MS-13 gang. Why was he hanging out with the gang members? Why does the confidential informant say he's a gang member? None of it matters. He's here illegally. He's gone, okay? Gone. Now, she says, oh, he's married. Married? What does that have to do with the price of rice in China? This gentleman does a fabulous job disputing the fact that just because he's married doesn't make him an angel.
He is married to a U.S. citizen, and he was in this country legally. Okay, but we don't know if he was
Being
actually...
married does not make you not a gang member.
There's no evidence. We're going to move on. There's no evidence that he was a gang member, and I want to reiterate that to our viewers.
The Department of Justice came out and said there was credible evidence that he was a member or affiliated with
You said he's a gang
MS-13.
member, and he wasn't legally allowed to be here, which, again, he was legally allowed to be here. And he is married to an American citizen.
You can hold court for him all you want. He's no longer in this country.
All right.
One person, the Americans are safer because of it.
And to go back to the original question, so right now the White House seems to be doing nothing about getting him back, and that's fine. I'm going to move on.
He's an illegal immigrant. He was here illegally with deportation orders in 2019. What part of that do you not understand?
I understand the story very well, and I'm going to stop going back and forth with you on this. But
you know what? She doesn't understand the story at all. The deportation order says that he must be deported. Now, there is some nuance in that he may not have been allowed to be deported to El Salvador because of the issues of his gang affiliation in El Salvador, okay? That he had to be deported to another country. But there was nothing saying he needed to stay in this country, and he had no legal status in this country. So this woman does not understand this story at all.
I will say, again, he had every right to be in this country. Is there any scenario under which
this guy... He was an illegal immigrant.
We're going to move on this.
No, I will not let you go forward.
Okay.
He was an illegal alien in this country with a deportation order in 2019. He is an El Salvadorian citizen. If you are not a citizen of the United States of America, here illegally, there are grounds to deport you, in which happened recently.
This, again, unsubstantiated. Those are not the facts, but I will move on. President Trump said...
Well, they're not the facts. I hope, honestly, the people at News Nation scold her on this. I'm not going to call for people to get fired on something like this because she's just dumb. She's a leftist lunatic who watches too much Rachel Maddow and CNN to realize what's really happening here. She ought to tune in to podcasts like this, quite frankly. Because, again, she is completely out of line and wrong. Now, I would love all of you watching on Rumble. please subscribe to the channel, the Rumble channel. It's important that I get as many subscribers as possible. We keep spreading Stinchfield's Army word. And if you're watching, I appreciate you watching on Rumble. A lot of people out there. And I'm looking at some of the comments, which is overtaken by one guy. I ought to bump that guy out. He's just literally overtaken. I hate trolls. But if you look on the Getter chat, there are great comments. Why is Congress allowing Senator Van Hollen to go? Well, Congress allows him to go because it's America and you can go wherever you want to go. The problem I have with it is I'm sure taxpayers are paying for this trip. There's no doubt in my mind that as a senator, he's going to be getting his ticket paid for by the United States taxpayer as he heads to El Salvador. Hopefully other inmates fix this. That could happen. Look, I don't wish death on most people. There are some I do, but I don't wish it on most. I don't know if this guy deserves to die in prison, but he doesn't deserve to come back to the United States. Grace in the YouTube chat writes, thank you, Grant. Grace, thank you for being one of the few in the barren fields of YouTube, which is totally shadow banned me there. So if you find me there, you went there purposefully. Nobody finds me there on YouTube by accident. But Rumble's where it's at. So, again, if you're on the Rumble channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share the podcast as well if you can. All right. Stephen Miller does such a great job defending Trump's policies. This is him on with Jesse Waters.
Senator Van Hollen seems to be under the very confused impression that this MS-13 terrorist is his constituent. He is President Bukele's constituent. He is President Bukele's citizen. He is President Bukele's resident. He is not a Maryland man. He is not a Maryland anything. He is an illegal alien from El Salvador with a deportation order from the United States. He is not legally even allowed to be in our country. Under the due process that these Democrats so venerate for illegal invaders, it is legally impermissible for him to have one more minute in this country. So we honored the law and obeyed the law by getting him out of this country. And if the entire Democrat Party was to work itself into a state of emotional hysteria to demand the return of illegal gang members and terrorists to our shores, then that 21% will soon be 15, and then it'll be 11, and then all they'll have left is the support of actual confirmed MS-13 members, and that will be the entire base of the Democrat Party.
Well, it sure seems like it is the base of the Democrat Party. Again, they defend these people to the ends of the earth. Now, we also have this same story about Karmelo Anthony. This is the black kid that killed the white track star, football star in Frisco, Texas, just up the road from where we broadcast from. Democrats are flocking to the defense of an admitted killer. He basically admitted to police that he killed him. He claims in self-defense, stabbing somebody in the heart. Who brings a knife to a track meet? We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But before we talk about that, I want to tell you about my friends over at Patriot Mobile. I have a Patriot Mobile phone. I urge you to get Patriot Mobile as your service. They're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. You can choose between the three big networks. So it's a great performance guarantee. No matter what city you're in, if the service isn't working out for you, you just switch the networks with Patriot Mobile. No other cell phone service can do that for you. They'll give you up to $500 per phone to switch contracts, which is great. And by the way, if you use the promo code GRANT, you'll get a free first month service with Patriot Mobile. But here's the big reason why you should be with Patriot Mobile. Customer service is all 100% U.S. based. And number two, the folks at Patriot Mobile believe in the things we do. Why do you think they're supporting this podcast? Why do you think they support other podcasts like it? Guys like Glenn Beck and Charlie Kirk and all these other guys. All of them. They want the message of freedom and liberty out there. The anti-tyranny message. That's what Patriot Mobile is about. So you're supporting spreading that message. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. 972-PATRIOT. Use that promo code GRANT for a free first month service. 972-PATRIOT. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Pay them a visit. All right. I wanted to pay play a clip before we get into Karmelo Anthony. I wanted to play a clip of Stephen Miller talking to the mainstream media, because what he does here is, I have to find it, what he does here is phenomenal. He questions the media, and they're so dumb, they don't even push back on him. First off, if this was during the Biden administration and I was out in front of the White House and a member of the Biden administration treats me the way Stephen Miller is going after these media members, who deserve it, by the way, you would have had pushback from me. But these weasels, they can't push back because they're such dopes. Anyway, it's very interesting to watch. So this is why I love this guy. This is why the president, I believe, has unleashed Stephen Miller on the media for just this reason.
Gentlemen, the return, guys, do you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? Do you know the difference? Any of you, please. Do you?
Well, we're not in the government.
But you didn't spend, so you couldn't even spend 72 hours over the weekend learning the distinction, even though you've been writing and talking about it this whole time.
Stephen, we're not going anywhere. On the gold cards.
Just raise your hand. Does any of you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order?
How do you know that he's a member of MS-13? The White House has repeatedly said, according to intelligence.
By the way, according to our government and his government. In other words, his government has confirmed based on their own intelligence that he's a member of MS-13.
Do you hear what he just said there? It's not just our government, Department of Homeland Security. It's not just local law enforcement, Prince George's County, that has confirmed he's a member of MS-13. But the El Salvadorian government has confirmed he's a member of MS-13. So you don't just end up in the United States and join MS-13. What happens with these MS-13 gang members is they move them up through the process of sneaking into America, and then they're here and they continue their criminal ways.
First of all, do you dispute that he's an illegal alien?
What's that?
Do you dispute that he's an illegal alien?
No.
Okay. And do you dispute that as an illegal alien, we have the right to deport him?
Going through
he went through the legal process. So I want to be very... what I'm getting from this conversation, which is educational for me, is that not one person in the media knows the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order. Is that a fair statement? You're learning about this all for the first time right now? I guess so. Okay. So the deportation order means the judge has said he must be deported from the country. He has no right to remain here any longer. He must be removed from the country. So his only options are to be deported to his home country or another country. That's it. There's no other option. He doesn't get to stay here. He doesn't get to live here. He has no future here. He has no right to be here. He's an illegal alien. So when you keep saying return, because you've been spun up by the open borders advocates, you all seem to be operating under the illusion that he would be able to come to the United States and just continue to live here illegally. That's not an option available to him. His only choices in life are to live in El Salvador or to live in another country. That's it. There's no other option, legally or otherwise, because he came to our country illegally. Do you understand that?
Stephen, can I ask, as a matter of policy, does the administration believe that immigration judges, because they're under DOJ, that their orders can be overruled by what the administration wants? Is that a general matter of policy?
Well, actually, so specifically, is the Attorney General has authority to overrule the immigration courts, and that's actually by statute, yes. Other questions?
Stephen, on the gold card, the President and Secretary Lutnick have suggested they're lining up applicants already. How many people do you expect to be tagged to this program when the President announces it this week, if he actually announces it this week?
I'll let Secretary...
All right, so that's the main portion that you need to see from that news conference that he holds in front of the media. They don't know the difference between a withholding order. They don't know the difference between a deportation order. And a deportation order literally being he must be removed from the country. Okay? That is ultimately what the judge ruled. And yet the mainstream media does not want to get it. They don't understand it. They don't want to listen to it. None of that to me. So honestly, quite frankly, it's stunning to me where the mainstream media has gone, and this Chris Van Hollen going to El Salvador, all of it. What a waste of time. Now, I'm going to bring up this other story because it's similar to this one. Everything is about race and the, quote, underprivileged. So whether it's an MS-13 gang member they want to make out to be a law-abiding immigrant who's come to this country and he's now a father of three, or it's an admitted killer in Frisco, Texas, who happens to be black, who kills a white football star. By the way, the two involved in this, the black kid and the white kid, were both football stars. And they want to make him out to be a victim. Karmelo Anthony is who I'm talking about here. Karmelo Anthony, seen here in the white blazer, gray blazer, had $1 million bond up. That bond was reduced to $250,000 because a judge ruled with an ankle bracelet, with his family being a pretty decent family from my understanding, that he's not a flight risk. Fine. A lot of people are screaming and yelling about the bond being lowered. I could care less. A bond is not punishment, as his own attorney said. A bond is to ensure that you'll show up to court. There's no doubt in my mind that this kid's going to show up to court. He's not going to flee to another country. I don't think he has the resources to do that, even with the nearly $500,000 raised on a GoFundMe page to support a man who admits now, a kid, a 17-year-old, who admits that he stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest because Metcalf asked him and quite possibly forcibly moved him from underneath the opposing team's tent. So Austin Metcalf and his friends and parents are in one tent. It's raining. That's the tent of their school. This Karmelo Anthony comes over. This is the way bystanders describe it. Sits down in that tent. Austin Metcalf says, "You can't be here. This isn't your tent. Move." The way I'm being told now, and I need to hear this from court and police, but the way the story is told by witnesses, Karmelo Anthony says, "Make me. You put your hands on me, find out. Find out what'll happen. Make me." As soon as Metcalf goes to put hands on Karmelo Anthony to move him out of from under the tent, he reaches in, grabs a knife, and stabs him in the heart. That's how witnesses basically describe what happens. Now, is that self-defense? I don't think that is. And I don't think what happened warrants deadly force. And if he never had a knife at the track meet, this never would have happened. So what was he doing bringing a knife to a track meet unless he fully planned on doing something like that? That would be the question that if I was the attorneys, the prosecutor, I would pose this to the jury. Do you bring a knife to a track meet unless you plan on using it? You know you're not allowed to have it. You know security's pretty good at these high school events, especially in Texas. That's going to be a tall order to overcome. So he got out of jail and he hired, or I guess recruited the help of the guy you see in the blue shirt there. His name is, quote, Minister Dominique Alexander. I've known this guy for a long time. He's a Black Lives Matter activist with a criminal history, from theft to shaking a toddler. He's done a little jail time. Why you would bring this guy in, I have no idea, other than stoking the flames of race. Black kid kills a white kid, and now all of a sudden this is an idea of race. I actually believe, I mean this, if Austin Metcalf was black, he still would have been stabbed. Because youngsters today fall to violence instantly, this thug life mentality. And it ends up ruining lives, ending lives. So this is Dominique Alexander with Karmelo Anthony as he's being let out of jail on bond yesterday.
All right. Come on, man. Just follow back behind us. Just stay close, okay?
So they're going to get approached by the media as they come out here. And the media asks some interesting, very good questions. Here it comes.
Karmelo, do you have anything that you'd like to say, Karmelo? Do you have anything that you'd like to say to the victim, to the family of the victim? Why were you armed, sweetheart? Karmelo, why were you armed at school? Explain your self-defense. How is this self-defense?
Excuse me.
Karmelo, is there anything you want to say to the community that's donated?
No answer from Karmelo Anthony. Now, I will ask this. The woman asking the questions, I believe, was from Channel 5. That's the old station I used to work at. I worked there for about 9 years. Why did she call him sweetheart? I understand maybe she's a mom and maybe she's being friendly, but the kid is accused of murdering somebody. I'm not sure sweetheart is the best term to use for this kid. It just shows to me a bias in the mainstream media. Would she have called Austin Metcalf sweetheart? Now, let me ask this question. Karmelo Anthony raises nearly $500,000 on a GoFundMe page. If the roles were reversed, if Austin Metcalf killed Karmelo Anthony for asking him to move seats, would the same people be donating to Austin Metcalf? Would the same people that donated to Karmelo Anthony be coming to the rescue of Austin Metcalf? The answer is an unequivocal no. This is only and solely about black culture that rushes to the defense of black suspects without any regard for facts, without any regard for what's right, wrong, morally, or criminally. They rush to the defense of black folks. Now, it's very interesting. My friends over at the Dallas Express found some odd anomalies on the GoFundMe page. Take a look at this. These are within seconds of each other. Cassandra Smith, $15. Anonymous giver, $10. It's the exact same message. We stand with you and for you, praying for you and your family during this most difficult period. I will definitely donate again soon. It's the exact same message donated at the exact same time. And it wasn't just then. Dallas Express found this. We are standing with you, Karmelo. This too shall pass. Psalm 46:1. God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in trouble. And again, within 1 minute of each other, Deanna Johnson and G. Sierra, $20 and $5 within 1 minute, the same exact comment? I don't understand what's happening here. You want to see more? This is a bigger gift. Within seconds of each other. Anonymous giver 100, anonymous giver 50, sending what I can for now that includes monetary support and prayers for Resolve and Karmelo's release. Anthony, misspelled, family, keep your head up. We got y'all. Same exact message within seconds of the donation. So to me, I'm not sure what that all means. Something is suspicious about that. You've got to wonder now, where is the money coming from? And why are people so hell-bent on supporting this person? What I have heard and found out is that once the facts come out on all of this, it's going to be really hard to support Karmelo Anthony. I've actually heard there is video evidence of this, which there always is. I'm surprised the video evidence hasn't been released on social media yet, but I'm told when the video evidence of this comes out, Karmelo Anthony is going to be in very deep trouble. But the reality is you never know what a jury is going to do. Now, this is in Hollen County. The judge who let him go is apparently one of these DEI judges. Again, I don't have so much a problem with lowering the bail as I do with the fact that we got to this point in the first place. All right. Again, on Rumble, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, copy and paste the podcast, share it on your social media. It's greatly appreciated. Stinchfield's Army is in the house big time today, and I'm grateful for that. I really, really am. All right, so let's go now to a couple little interesting tidbits. Whoopi Goldberg. You know, she makes everything about race. This idea of closing the Department of Education, I'm all for it. I'm all for taking the money that would normally go to the Department of Ed and sending it directly to the states, let them figure out how they want to do it. Maybe even a better idea is send it directly to the county so the county can determine how they want to spend it. Take it out of the state capitals. and get it to even more local level. Now, that's going to take a staff to figure out who's in charge and where to send it and what the share is and all that, but I think it can be done. But again, local control of the money has got to be best than a bureaucrat in Washington. I would have hoped that Democrats would understand that. They don't seem to. And then Whoopi Goldberg miraculously says this.
What we have to always do, regardless of who you voted for, you still got to pay your rent, you still got to take care of your kids, you still got to take care of your business. And maybe some of what's happening, like, they're trying to take apart the Department of Education.
Yes.
Maybe that is a good thing, because maybe it will force us to make sure that our kids actually get what they need. Maybe it'll force us to go to our state and say, listen, I want to make sure, since you're taking all this money from my taxes, I want to make sure that my kids get exactly what they need. I don't have to wait for the government to do it. We can do it. This is now in our hands. This is in our hands, and it's going to be tough.
Do you believe that Whoopi Goldberg right now is pushing for the closure of the Department of Education to get the money back in local hands? Thank you, Whoopi. Usually I'm blasting you. But here, you're right, the cackling hens of the View. I guess, even a blind squirrel gets a nut every now and then. She nails it, but wait till the end. The producers are not happy with her. Watch.
And nobody wants to do it because it's a bitch. But you know what? If it comes down to your survival, this is what you got to do. You got to take care of what you got to take care of. And they're telling me that we're going to be right back.
They're telling me to shut the hell up is what they're telling you, Whoopi. Do not support President Trump on this program anymore. And because you are, we're going to commercial, and we're going to scold you in your ear during commercial. Promise you that's what happened. Joy Behar is going to turn to her during the commercial and go, are you nuts? What are you talking about? How could you support this? Whoopi did, though. So if they do something good, just as I blast the ladies, the cackling hens of The View, if they say something that is worth playing, I will play that as well every second. Now, something else that is worth playing is Piers Morgan, who was on with Fox and Friends, talking about the violence of those on the left and what's happening with Tesla. And now we've had more arrests. Boy, these arrests are really ramping up. My question to you is, do you think we'll see the violence and destruction of Teslas and Tesla dealerships start to subside now that more people are being prosecuted? And maybe even more importantly, now that everyone realizes every Tesla has cameras? I think a lot of people didn't realize that. I think they do now as people are being arrested because of this. Will the violence subside? Feel free to comment in the chat, but this is Piers Morgan.
Elon Musk has sacrificed his business stuff for however long he's going to do this for no money. He's leading a team of people to try and reduce government overspending and waste. I wish he was doing that to the federal government in the UK. And what's his reward? All over America now, people torching Teslas, petrol bombing them, targeting people who are driving Teslas. I said on X last night, this is making me want to go and buy a Tesla, to which Elon replied, thank you, because I'm sure he's feeling a little bit vulnerable right now in terms of his business being actively targeted and they're trying to destroy it.
Well, I told you what I did. My son turned 16 in a month. I got him a Tesla Model 3, and it's a fabulous car. I would drive that car every day of the week, and I drive a really nice car. And I would drive that Tesla. It's fast, and I can limit it. By the way, it has child proofing on it where you can limit the pickup, limit the top speed. It's great. It's a great vehicle, and I wanted to support Elon. I never thought in a million years that I would ever buy a Tesla. And I think I told you, I did a video that's got like 2 million views of why not to buy a Tesla, why electric vehicles are bogus. And here I am buying an electric vehicle. It's amazing what the left will get me to do to support freedom and those who support freedom in America. Piers Morgan continued.
People used to love Elon Musk. They used to see him as the savior, the green energy guy, bringing energy, these cars to green energy cars to America. They all loved him. And now, because He has aligned himself to Donald Trump. Now he's the enemy, and they can't crush him on policy. They want to crush him with violence. The scale of the waste is actually terrifying.
I know.
And the idea that for exposing this and for saving Americans money, which is what they're doing, that you then become the devil who must be targeted, destroyed with violence, I think is a shameful moment for everybody on the left in America.
Think about what he says. The level of waste is shocking. Every day it becomes more and more and more. Now, Elon has begun to ratchet down the amount of waste that he thinks he's going to find. I'm worried that somebody is in his ear saying, hey, this is causing us too much problems, ratchet it down. We were supposed to have $1 trillion by May 30th. You know, we're now a few $100 billion. I think it would be easy to find that $1 trillion by May 30th. We shall see if he does it. I'm worried, though, that those inside government are getting to him, including the likes of Chuck Schumer. I'm going to play you a soundbite from Chuck Schumer here in just a minute, or the lack of soundbite. They see the Democrats love silence. At least Republicans will talk to you as they're being questioned through the halls of Congress. Democrats just ignore you. Hey, folks, you know I tell you all the time about the wellness company. This is so important. Right now, China is about ready to probably put a halt on prescription medications and ingredients. We get 85% of our ingredients for prescription medications from China, the ingredients. This is going to create a drug shortage. I would urge you right now, while you can, get one of these prescription medication kits. Get them in your household so you don't have to deal with these shortages. Maybe buy 2 of the kits. TWC.health/grant. All of these are made out to me. You'll get a phone call from the doctor. They send it right to your house. Super easy. Takes just a few minutes. TWC.health/grant. It is about being prepared. It's about making sure you are going to keep your family safe if, God forbid, you know, we got natural disasters that can happen. Drugstores close down. You got the tech stuff, the cyber hacking, all of that. The drugstores can close down. And then you've got China, which is the big, crazy unknown in all of this. So again, TWC.health/grant. There's ivermectin in that kit I just showed you, amoxicillin, a whole slew of other antibiotics that you need to keep your family safe. TWC.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. All right. Chuck Schumer, he doesn't want to answer the questions. You know, you just heard Pierce Morgan denounce the violence. Pierce is no big conservative, by the way. Does Chuck Schumer denounce the violence?
Senator, what's your opinion of the violence against Tesla, their products? What are your thoughts on that? Do you denounce the violence against Tesla products and dealerships and cars in the streets?
I can't talk about Tesla, but Elon Musk is a disaster for America, and America knows it. Look at Wisconsin.
Boy, that's pretty brutal right there.
Thank you, Senator.
You've got American citizens who may be Democrats, by the way, probably a lot of them, that are having their cars keyed, damaged, vandalized, and you egg them on by saying that Elon Musk is some kind of enemy of the state because he's finding the waste, fraud, and abuse that Senator Schumer and his cronies created. That's why they're mad at him, because the jig is up. A lot of this money flowing back into their bank accounts is going to dry up because of Elon Musk. How dare he give the last comment to egg on violence? They will not denounce it, which is why I tell you over and over again, the left most certainly is the party of violence. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us today. We'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Again, if you're watching, please hit the like button. Please subscribe on Rumble. My subscriber level has basically hit a plateau, so I need more subscribers. The views continue to go up. We're one of the fastest growing podcasts on Rumble, and that is in large part, well, in all part, thanks to you. And I appreciate you being here. I mean it sincerely. So thank you. We'll see you on Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Stinchfield's Army rolls. We'll see you then.